It was supposed to be a simple camping trip, a getaway from the stresses of everyday life. My friends and I had chosen Blackwood Forest for its reputation as a pristine, tranquil wilderness. Little did we know, this trip would become a nightmare that still haunts my dreams. As we arrived at Blackwood Forest, the sun cast long shadows across the towering pines. We set up camp near a babbling brook, its soothing murmur disguising the sinister secrets hidden in the depths of the forest. The air was thick with tension, but we brushed it off as mere nerves. The first night was calm, with only the distant hoots of owls and the gentle rustle of leaves to keep us company. We gathered around the campfire, sharing stories and laughter. But as the fire dwindled, a bone-chilling breeze swept through the woods, causing our flames to flicker erratically. We shrugged it off as a natural occurrence. On the second day, strange occurrences began. We found our food supplies scattered around the campsite, and someone had scratched cryptic symbols onto the trees. Panic set in as we realized that we were miles from civilization, trapped in this eerie forest. The laughter from the night before seemed like a distant memory. As darkness descended on the third night, one of our group members, Sarah, vanished while collecting firewood. Panic gripped us, and we frantically called out her name, but only the echoes of our own voices answered. We searched for hours, but she was nowhere to be found. The forest swallowed her whole. The forest became a place of nightmares. We heard whispers in the wind, eerie footsteps in the dead of night, and eerie shadows that danced at the periphery of our vision. A malevolent presence seemed to be watching us, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. With our group dwindling and our sanity fraying, we made a desperate decision to leave. We packed up what remained of our belongings, guided only by the dim moonlight. Every step was treacherous, every rustle in the bushes sent shivers down our spines. It felt like the forest itself was trying to keep us trapped. After what felt like an eternity, we stumbled upon a decrepit cabin hidden deep in the woods. Inside, we found old journals filled with horrifying accounts of people who had vanished in Blackwood Forest over the years. The cabin's walls were covered in those same cryptic symbols. Summoning all our courage, we pushed through the forest, never looking back. The eerie presence that had plagued us seemed to recede with every step. We finally emerged, exhausted and traumatized, into the safety of civilization. Even now, years later, the memories of that camping trip still haunt me. Blackwood Forest, with its malevolent secrets, serves as a chilling reminder that some places in this world are better left unexplored. I hope that by sharing my story, others will think twice before venturing into the depths of the unknown.
It was the peak of summer when my friends and I embarked on a camping trip to Willow Lake. Nestled deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, this remote location promised serenity and adventure. We packed our gear, loaded up the car, and set off on a journey that would change our lives forever. As we drove deeper into the mountains, the landscape became increasingly isolated. Towering trees closed in around us, casting ominous shadows on the winding road. The air grew cooler, and the sounds of civilization faded into a distant memory. It was as if we were entering another world entirely. We finally arrived at our campsite, a picturesque clearing beside Willow Lake. The water glistened under the midday sun, and the surrounding forest exuded a tranquil charm. Our excitement was palpable as we set up our tents, gathered firewood, and prepared for a night of stargazing and storytelling. The first night at Willow Lake was enchanting. We gathered around the campfire, the flames casting dancing shadows on our faces. Laughter and the crackling fire filled the air as we shared stories and toasted marshmallows. The stars above shone brilliantly, and the tranquility of the wilderness was intoxicating. As the night wore on, however, a subtle unease crept into our group. The forest's symphony of chirping crickets and rustling leaves had abruptly ceased. The once comforting sounds of nature were replaced by an eerie silence. I dismissed it as the natural rhythm of the forest, but a chill ran down my spine when I noticed everyone's eyes fixed on something beyond the firelight. We sat frozen, our breaths held, as a faint, distant whisper echoed through the woods. The words were indecipherable, like a forgotten language carried on the wind. Panic simmered beneath the surface, but no one dared speak. Eventually, the strange voices faded, and the forest slowly resumed its symphony. We laughed it off as our imaginations playing tricks, attributing it to the wilderness's odd acoustics. Yet, sleep that night was elusive, and the shadows cast by the moon seemed to dance with a life of their own. The second day at Willow Lake was marked by a series of increasingly unsettling events. Our food supplies mysteriously vanished overnight, our tents were found in disarray, and strange symbols were etched into the trees surrounding our campsite. These symbols were intricate and unfamiliar, their meaning lost on us. Anxiety gnawed at our resolve. As darkness fell on the third night, our unease intensified. A dense fog rolled in from the lake, obscuring our surroundings. We gathered around the campfire, seeking solace in its warm glow. But the woods had other plans. The whispers returned, louder this time, and carried an air of malice. The voices seemed to come from all directions, their spectral words taunting and mocking. Fear clawed at our hearts as we realized that there were more voices now, distinct and chillingly human. They spoke of secrets buried in the depths of Willow Lake and of restless souls trapped in the woods. A spectral figure materialized in the fog, just beyond the firelight's reach. It was a woman in a tattered dress, her face obscured by long, matted hair. She beckoned us with bony fingers, her hollow eyes boring into our souls. We fled, leaving our campsite behind, but the whispers pursued us, echoing in our minds. On the fourth day, Sarah, one of our group, disappeared without a trace. She had gone to fetch water from the lake and never returned. Panic surged through us as we frantically called her name, our voices trembling with fear. We searched the woods for hours, but there was no sign of her. As night fell, we gathered around a makeshift fire in a new campsite, our numbers reduced and our spirits shattered. Sarah's absence hung heavily in the air, a constant reminder of our vulnerability. The whispers continued, tormenting us with cryptic messages and unsettling predictions. With each passing night, the whispers grew louder and more malevolent. Shadows danced at the edge of our vision, and a palpable presence enveloped us. We knew we were no longer welcome in Willow Lake. Desperation forced us to confront the eerie symbols etched into the trees, searching for a clue, a way out. As dawn broke on the fifth day, we stumbled upon an ancient, weathered tome hidden beneath a gnarled tree root. Its pages contained cryptic incantations and warnings of the lake's curse. It spoke of a ritual to appease the vengeful spirits, a ritual that required the offering of a cherished possession to the depths of Willow Lake. With trembling hands, we gathered our possessions, each of us selecting a cherished item to sacrifice. The air grew thick with anticipation as we approached the murky waters of the lake. The whispers reached a crescendo, a cacophony of despair and anger, as we cast our offerings into the depths. The lake's surface erupted in a frenzy of dark waters, and a monstrous figure rose from the depths. It was Sarah, her eyes empty, her body contorted and lifeless. The whispers ceased, replaced by a mournful wail that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the lake. With the ritual complete, a semblance of peace returned to Willow Lake. We gathered our remaining possessions and hastily retreated from the cursed woods. The whispers faded into the distance, but their haunting words still echoed in our minds. We never spoke of that night, of the horrors we witnessed, or of the sacrifice we made to escape Willow Lake's grasp. It was a nightmare that bound us together, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most idyllic of places. To this day, I cannot erase the memory of that haunted lake, the whispers that tormented us, and the chilling specter of Sarah emerging from its depths. Willow Lake remains a place of dread, a cursed wilderness forever etched in my nightmares. The moon cast a silvery glow upon the dense woods as my friends and I embarked on a camping trip to the infamous Midnight Hollow. Its name alone sent shivers down our spines, but we craved adventure. Little did we know, the horrors we would encounter would haunt us forever. As we reached the forest's edge, a shroud of darkness enveloped us. The towering trees seemed to lean closer, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. We set up camp near a small pond, the water reflecting the moonlight. A sense of unease settled upon us, and the night was filled with ominous rustlings in the underbrush. The first night was cold, and we huddled around the campfire for warmth. We shared ghost stories and nervous laughter, trying to dispel the growing unease. As the fire crackled, casting flickering shadows, I noticed movement in the woods. Shadows danced among the trees, and the wind carried eerie whispers that seemed to speak of forgotten terrors. I brushed it off as my imagination. On the second day, the forest came alive with unsettling sounds. Leaves rustled, branches snapped, and strange, distant chants echoed through the trees. Fear not at our resolve as we searched for the source of these eerie noises, but they remained elusive, taunting us from the shadows. Night fell on the third day, and a horrifying realization struck us. One of our group, Sarah, had vanished during an evening stroll. Panic set in as we called out her name, our voices swallowed by the oppressive darkness. We combed the woods, our flashlights cutting through the inky blackness, but Sarah was nowhere to be found. The forest seemed to close in around us, its shadows twisting into grotesque forms. Unseen hands brushed against our skin, and eerie laughter echoed through the night. It felt like the very woods were alive, malevolent, and sentient. We barely slept, haunted by the feeling of being watched. Driven to desperation, we stumbled upon an old, decrepit cabin deep in the woods. Inside, we discovered a scene of horror, a room filled with bizarre, ancient symbols, and the remains of those who had ventured into Midnight Hollow before us. The cabin exuded an evil energy that sent shivers down our spines. Terror gripped us as we realized the gravity of our situation. We needed to escape Midnight Hollow at all costs. Every step was fraught with peril, every rustling in the underbrush sent our hearts pounding. We were pursued by an unseen malevolence, driven by the instinct to survive. As dawn approached, we stumbled upon an ancient, moss-covered altar in a clearing. Grotesque symbols etched into it seemed to writhe with life. As we drew near, the ghostly whispers crescendoed into a chorus of malevolent laughter. We knew we had to leave this cursed place behind. We escaped Midnight Hollow, but the scars it left upon us would never heal. The horrors we witnessed defied explanation, a nightmare etched into our souls. To this day, I am haunted by the memory of that malevolent forest, and I share this tale as a warning to those who dare to tread into the heart of darkness. Some places should never be explored, and some secrets are better left buried in the haunted depths of Midnight Hollow. So, as we wrap up these spine-chilling tales from the great outdoors, remember that the darkness of the woods hides secrets that can send shivers down your spine. Camping is about adventure and connecting with nature, but sometimes, nature has its own way of connecting with you. If you enjoyed these tales of camping horrors, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more bone-chilling stories. And, of course, if you've had your own terrifying camping experience, share it in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe out there and beware the shadows that lurk in the night. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the unknown.